people belong to, they'll all say they support the environment. Would you?
Well, unless you're Donald Trump.
He'd probably still say he supports the environment. But would you give me a few specifics on what issues, what areas of the environment, or what environmental concerns you have? Be a little more specific.
Well, first let me say, and I think it's crazy that people who are in Congress or running for Congress have to say this, I believe in science.
Yay!
I believe that climate change driven by human consumption of fossil fuels is real, and that we have to have an aggressive national policy as well as a state policy to mitigate what we've done to the planet at this point. I would like to see New Jersey be an incubator for the entire country in terms of a green revolution. Very simple things. You know, when I used to live outside of the district, but I used to live in Asbury Park, and I served on city council there. And I lived in one of the higher buildings in the downtown, and I used to look out of my giant windows that I had overlooking the downtown, and just see all these flat roofs. And I would, solar, solar, solar. So what we need to do is create incentives and bring grant money into the state of New Jersey to help get those industries going, or to help put programs in place. As a small business person, so if you ever come down to the Lighthouse Tavern, we're down in Waretown, my roof is a flat roof. It faces south and east. I get sun from sun up to sundown. And I said I had the roof redone about 3.5 years ago, and I said to the guys who were putting the roof on, I know they also do solar, and it's a friend of mine, a guy I used to play basketball with, and I was like, look, what do you got for me? I'd love to put a solar array. He said, Jim, if you were a homeowner, there's plenty of incentives. If you were a giant corporation, there's plenty of incentives. Small business person on Main Street, got nothing for you. So that's something I want to change, to bring a Main Street mentality to DC and say, I want solar arrays on every Main Street business in the 4th District. And we need to create the subsidies available to do that. We also need to pull together the leadership on the eastern portion of the district. As was mentioned, you know, maybe I didn't mention this. I grew up in Belmar. I live in Spring Lake now. I mean, Belmar was one of the towns that got clobbered by Hurricane Sandy. And when the hurricane happened, I dropped everything, and for almost a month was volunteering every day, sun up to sundown. In fact, 3 days into the cleanup, we were cleaning up on the street behind my parents' house. Luckily, they dodged the bullet. The water stopped 150 feet from the front, and it stopped right at the fence in the backyard. Everything to the east and south for 5 blocks was just Sandy Armageddon. And we were cleaning up the street just on 6th Avenue, and we had one pickup truck. Are you talking about the lack of coordination in marshaling federal resources to be brought to bear? So we had a pickup truck, and we're just running stuff to the makeshift dump up by the river, and the guy comes back, he's like, we need a bigger truck. So I'm like, all right, I got on my bike, I rode over to the borough yard, saw John, who's the deputy director of DPW, and I'm like, we need a bigger truck over on 6th Avenue. He's like, all right, come here. And he brings me into the back, and I'm waiting for him to get one of the guys to jump in the truck with me, and he's like, get in the driver's seat. And I got a 2-minute tutorial on how to work the giant hydraulics on one of those big trucks, and they gave it to me for 3.5 weeks, and every day I would show up with that truck, and we were doing the cleanup. So I saw firsthand the havoc that climate change can wreak on the eastern portion of our district. And to have our president come out and pull out of that accord, I mean, one, I think it makes us a laughingstock internationally. It's also poor planning. It's poor planning in terms of the economics. When you think of the billions of dollars of damage that were done by a storm like Sandy. It's also a national security issue. I was just listening to the radio as I was driving out, and there were security experts talking about if we don't deal with climate change, here are some of the things that can happen. You will have millions of people on the move who don't have potable water, whose food supply has been wrecked, and you're going to see wars potentially come about because of climate change. So we've got to be really aggressive in addressing it. I think there are people that are way better versed in this stuff than I am, and I just want to be able to connect with them and help give them the microphone, the bully pulpit that a congressperson can garner, and say, tell us what we need to do. Like sit with the scientists who overwhelmingly are saying, here's the problem that we have. And then sit with the engineers who are overwhelmingly saying, here's how you deal with it. The engineers, whether it's on a coastline or if it's the engineers that are dealing with the fuel industry, how do we start to transition, start to talk to entrepreneurs? How do we make it? Because look, as much as we all want to save the earth because it's the right thing to do, we've also got to help industry. They're going to want to make money off of it. So how do we harness their interests for the best interests of the planet, our district, our state, our nation? Is that good?